So it's at this point in recording that I am seriously considering just breaking this up into 3 separate videos because this is a lot of stuff and I don't want to make an hour-long video for all of it. So if this is part 3, you will forgive me for like the last minute change. I think it might be better for everybody. And also it gives me 3 days of downtime to actually like rest and recuperate and get my videos back up and running full speed. So we talked about the actual dedicated collector stores around Arizona. We're still in Arizona for this leg of the trip, but this time it's going to be about like used shops, consignment shops, places like that. Just basically places that you wouldn't think to find collectibles, but they were actually there. And we're going to talk about some of the random acquisitions as well, just in places I wouldn't have expected. First off, we went to a place called Bookman's Entertainment Exchange. It's a used DVD, book, movie store, and it does have a collectible toy section. And there's just some really random stuff to find amongst there if you pay enough attention. Especially behind the counter, there's a lot of just random stuff. One of them I found a Beast Wars Optimal Optimus and Depth Charge, just like hanging out behind the counter on the floor, still in the box. It looked like they'd been put back in the box, is the thing. If it wasn't for the fact I already had both of those figures, I would have like very heavily eyeballed those. But it's just kind of neat to find. So the first Bookman's we went to was in Mesa, and what I grabbed from there was a fairly inexpensive Prime First Edition Starscream. He is missing the missiles. Not a huge deal. What's worse is, after the fact, I've got him home and noticed that one of his wings has been glued back into position, so it doesn't angle like it's supposed to. But everything else seems like it would transform fine. This is another one of those figures that I really shouldn't have sold off, because it's an exceptional figure. I got the Slipstream version of it, but, you know, I love the Starscream. I do have it in box, signed by Steve Bloom, so I can't really complain, but this gives me one I can just kind of goof around with. And hey, the original one I had misassembled feet, so this one will actually be able to stand up. Nice when you have that little advantage going for you. So, a little bit of a rescue there. The second Bookman's was a little bit more interesting. For starters, and this wasn't even in the toy section. This is like in the back of the in the book section, like next to like the DVDs and toward the video game section. Weird placement, guys. But whatever. So this is special to me. So this is a next generation Enterprise D, classic design. What's big about this one is the fact that you could actually separate the saucer section, just like it did in the show. This is a special one for me to find because, for starters, it's all die-cast. It's heavy as hell. But I had this as a kid, and I never put it down. I played with it all the time. I used to spray it with hairspray because it made it look shiny, and I thought I was like waxing it. I know better today. But I just thought that was a super cool and random thing to find. So there's a piece of my childhood that will go up on the wall. Yeah, I thought it was really neat to find. The other one that I found there is, of all things, and this was behind the counter, buried behind some just like random Transformers that I already had, but a Beast Machine's Thrust. How random is that to find in what is essentially a used book and movie store? I've never gotten to mess with this mold before. I know it's not the most show-accurate thing in the world, but it's one I've always been curious about. I look into the price online once in a while. So finding it in person, yeah, absolutely I'm taking it home. So he is not going to be my packaging example for Beast Machines. I actually have a Primal that's unopened. Not for any particular reason. It's not that I like Beast Machines packaging. Just kind of nice to have one. No, like his bubble's all crunched up. He's getting opened. So, who knows? Stay tuned for a random review, possibly. I actually get to find out what a Beast Machine's Thrust is like. Let's see. Another shop we visited was Asylum Records, which was a legitimate record store and used record store. They had some horror movie memorabilia, but for like actual toys, some pop vinyls, some Dorbs, you know, just basic stuff. Not really a toy store, and the toys they had were mostly based on music. But, you know, sometimes you find random things in random spots. So we went there just because it's a cool place with a cool atmosphere. Kind of unique, and the guy running it's really cool. But they did have a Mega Man Dorb that I did not have. It is the Chase version in his green and white colors. I forget which weapon that is. Don't correct me in the comments. I know. We're gonna say Leaf Shield. How about that? But still, a little bit of Mega Man I did not have. Always a good thing. One place we went was the Brass Armadillo Antique Mall, and this place was huge. Antique malls generally are huge, and they're fun to go through because you turn corners and you never know exactly what you're going to find. We went through these like glass display cabinets for people who only had like a few things to sell. You can, instead of renting out like an entire booth, you could rent out just like a space in a cabinet. And there's just a bunch of random toys you saw there. I saw the Outrider from Shadows of the Empire, the Star Wars franchise. Had one as a kid, would have loved to have grabbed that one. I'm sure it would have been a pretty penny, and getting it home wouldn't have been easy. So probably a good thing I passed on that one. But most of the toys we found were in that original opening section in all these glass cases, and then just wandering down the random aisles. There was a few toy spots, not terrible amount, but what I did run into there, turning a corner toward the end, another McFarlane Dragon. And actually we went to Armadillo before we went to which store was it? Before we went to Atomic Comics. That was it. Before we went there, we went here. So this is the first McFarlane Dragon I bought on this trip. I didn't realize that would become a theme, but I do love McFarlane's sculpting work from this era, and they do look really, really cool. Yeah, so could have bought more. Like I said, this shop had a bunch more. Atomic had a bunch more. I like those two. Those two I think are good examples of the line. Let's see, but yeah, I that's one of those places where like I kind of wish I wandered around a little bit more, because it is one of those places that winds around for a long time. It feels like you didn't see everything. So who knows what got left behind. There's also a franchise we visited called Zia Records, and there's these three dotted around Mesa, and I think they're located elsewhere, but this was like the really surprising one. Like some of the most surprising things were at these particular stores. So just for the first one we visited, for starters, I actually got a Switch game. I got Maneater for like $16 for a used copy. Always looked like a lot of fun. For $16, you know, why not, right? You know, I'm trying to fill out my Switch collection a little bit. I did get a little bit more, speaking of like Switch and Nintendo. Did grab some Animal Crossing amiibo that they had. So we got Cap'n, we got Kix, and we got Timmy and Tommy, which are the hard ones to find these days. Really nice to come across them. I didn't notice that Timmy and or Tommy actually had a little bit of paint wear on his nose. Not a big deal, but just fun to actually have them. Adds to my little Animal Crossing collection. The one weird thing they had the enemy ship base from Gobots. It's the first time I ran across it. I ran across two more on this vacation. Didn't take that. What I did take was a Sparkless Seeker, because I realized like at this point I had every unique iteration of this mold that wasn't like redone as an Earth style Seeker later on, except this version. So hey, let's go completionist while I'm at it. But also, like, I actually do like the zombie deco on this guy, and I do think it works better. The sneer doesn't work for a zombie. That's a little bit weird, but yeah, it's a unique deco for a transformer. So yeah, why not? It wasn't that bad, price wise. All right, but that was Zia number 1. Zia number 3. Yes, I'm intentionally skipping number 2. Zia number 3 kind of went to on a whim on our last day. Nothing. There's some weird things there. There was like one pile of just parts, just like random parts, and like I think like a quarter of it was just a Transformers Cybertron graveyard. Bits of Optimus, a landmine that was just a torso left behind, a really busted up Deluxe Red Alert. Made me cry. Made me cry. There was actually some really good stuff there, but nothing that was like reaching out and like grabbing a hold of me like, you must buy me. But for an inexpensive price, you know, I will rescue an Energon Steam Hammer. As we have learned from both my Prime Starscream with a glued wing and my Dinotron with a broken butt, it's kind of a hazard to buy a used toy that is sealed up like this because you can't really fiddle with it and figure out what's wrong with it. In this case, it's Energon Steam Hammer. There's not a whole lot that can go wrong with it. There's no accessories to lose. There's no like hidden parts that you have to keep your eye out for, see if they're there or not. You know, it's a pretty simple figure, but it's a unique figure. So I figured, you know what, fine. You know, it's like $10. You know, and for a toy from Energon for $10, why not? Why not? I have no intention of completing that combiner again because translucent plastic sockets, fun. But it's just nice to have. You know, I'm not above just like rescuing a toy. But no, it was Zia Records number 2 that was really shocking. Fantastic prices on some stuff. So I already own these, but for the price, I really couldn't pass them up. We have Blue Streak and Silver Streak. And the Silver Streak still has a head. Yeah, so, like I said, I already own these, but these were, like, considering they're sealed, dirt cheap. I won't even tell you how dirt cheap. But really, really good. So, at some point, I don't think... Offhand, I don't think I'm going to flip these on eBay. I also just realized that they used the smokescreen version of the head for the back of Blue Streak's box. You probably can't see that from here. Go check out the stock art. I have another plan for these. These are not going to hit. These are not eBay fodder. I have another plan for these, so keep an eye out. No, you want to talk random. Let's talk random. So, Zia number 2, behind the counter, had something that actually like shocked me to find at what is essentially a used record store that just expanded its inventory. That is a Car Ranger DX Viblade, the main weapon of the Car Rangers. Super weird to find. It was fun to educate them behind the counter, because when you tell people that this was like it is Japanese Power Rangers kinda, but in their version this was all about traffic safety, which weirds them out. But it's fun to inform people. And it looks like, yeah, it definitely looked like it's been opened, because like there's no tape on it or anything. Of course, you know, it doesn't, oh yeah, never mind. I was going to say, no, the tape was definitely on it. So it's been opened, but it looks like it's in really nice shape. And from what I'm gathering, yes, the gimmick on it still works. So just a really interesting find. You know, it's not that I have a particular love of Car Ranger, but just the fact that I found something that random. Like, I felt like I had to take it home. Alright, so those are the most of the, like, the main shops we went to. Everything else came from alternate sources. So, for instance, something I've never seen in my area, some of the new authentic figures. We have Barricade in his, like, faux G1 style. And Wheeljack, who actually seems like he's pretty decent for what Authentics is. Haven't seen these anywhere around here. I don't really have, like, a good place to even find Authentics. These were at a grocery store. This was at a grocery store chain called Fry's, which we seem to go to on a daily basis during this vacation. But not that that's a bad thing. Actually, in a few ways, I ate fresher than I have in a long time. But yeah, they have like a genuine toy section, and there's like actual like Deluxes and Voyager Transformers there. They had like old Studio Series figures that were way overcharged because grocery chain. But this stuff was, yeah, these like normal prices. So I was actually curious enough, and yeah, they actually look decent for what they are. Didn't find ROC. That's the one that I would have really been interested in experiencing. But I really want to know how those turned out. So that was fun to find. Like I said, we did a lot of Goodwill hopping. There was a couple of nostalgic things that I picked up for myself. They're not really worth showing off on camera because they're just odd. But, oh, geez, I left it over there. Hang on. Hang on. Put it all the way over here. The one thing that I did find and brought home, because this, I felt, is actually kind of interesting. We found a Beast Morphers Morpher, where the shade gimmick still works. I have to see if the electronics still work. I assume they do, because it's not that old. And this probably is going to be eBay fodder at some point. Just because, like, I don't really have a decided interest in keeping it. You know, this is essentially just a rescue from a Goodwill to flip later on to someone who really wants it. But yeah, I thought that was a cool thing to find. The last things I have to talk about are things that came directly from Matt. A few things that he'd been specifically saving for me. And yeah, just cool things. So first off, Matt's been to Japan several times, and I am very envious of that. And he kept me in mind during those trips, which means the world to me. And a few of the things he brought home. We have a movie program for Agito Project G4, and the Gal Ranger film as well. So, see, lots of character profile art, a little bit of interview and profile. I really wish he hadn't beat his girlfriend, because now we'll never see him again. But yeah, just really cool little like photograph stuff. See, there's Gills. There's my boy. Yeah, so super cool of Matt to like be thinking of me while he was actually out in Japan. I'll make it there someday. I've got to make it there someday. And then also one for Bokenzer. And again, this really cool little photograph stuff. This is all like just like anniversary things. So like here's all the morphers, or at least a lot of the morphers. There's one page in particular I really like, which is comparing the back explosions of all the various past teams, which is a weird thing to focus on, but I thought it was funny. So yeah, cool little reference ebook stuff. Anime Jungle had a ton of those too, but I didn't want to load down my suitcase with a whole bunch of those because I'm not terribly into like the books and all that. That's Matt's thing, but it's cool to have a few, and I love that he thought of me. One other one that he had for me. This is one of his random finds when he was like picking toys, and this needs a good cleanup. But it is Zig Zag, another Gobot. I've got so many Gobots on this trip, and what was weird was he gave this to me like day one, not knowing what it really did. And it was later on when we visited Prescott that I found the shop that had Rube. So I got both legs of Puzzler on this trip, and got a good kick out of the fact that Matt had already given me like the counterpart to Rube. So that was kind of an amusing thing. And then there was the big thing. Matt has been holding on to something for me for about 8 or so years. Something he got a really good deal on when he found it. Immediately jumped on claiming it. But never got around to shipping it out to me. And honestly, like, we had a trade in mind for it, but it's been so long, neither one of us could remember what the trade was. So Matt, being exceptionally awesome, just kind of like waived it. I think 8 years of waiting is his expenditure enough. But this is super special to me. More, even more so because he had me in mind and held on to it for so long for me. My boy. Me and Titanus go back a long way. When I was a kid playing in the playground, I thought it wasn't fair that Titanus didn't have a ranger. So you know what? Every time we play Power Rangers in the playground, I'm going to be Titanus's ranger. I'm going to be the Gold Ranger. I'm going to pilot Titanus. I'm going to be the big hero that, like, always summons the Zord that blows up everything. I loved Titanus as a kid. Because, like, yeah, how could you not? He showed up and things blew up. When me and my dad went to Toys R Us on the weekends, if we saw Titanus in stock, we couldn't afford him that week. And if we could afford him that week, he wasn't there. So I never got it as a kid. I had the Megazord, had the Dragon Zord, never managed to get Titanus. When we moved here, my neighbor at the time, the kid had Titanus. None of the other Zords, just Titanus. So I actually borrowed it for a week just so I could finally see my Mega Dragon Zord combined with Titanus to make the Ultra Zord. So my Zords from childhood only got to be Ultra Zord for 1 week. This will finally change. I'm finally going to have an Ultra Zord of my own. A genuine Ultra Zord. I am so excited to put it together. I got to make space for it because it's going to be gigantic. But yeah, I cannot say enough. I cannot say enough about Matt just like having me in mind and keeping it this long for me. Yeah, Matt in general is just an amazing host and just a really genuine good friend. Yeah, this was super special. This went in my carry-on. Like, I broke it down, flattened it out, and got it on a carry-on, and like I wouldn't let that out of my sight because I just was not going to let it go. Chain is still there, so the Ultra Zord can look the part. I only have one of the skiffs that will connect to the Megazord's tank mode. Don't really care about that mode, really. So maybe I get it 100% complete someday. I don't really care. It's gonna look amazing. So that is everything. It took me 4 videos. It took me 4 videos to get through. Technically 5 if we include all the touristy purchasing I did in the vacation video. Yeah, it took I told you, this is the biggest haul I've ever had on a single trip. But this is a trip I saved up for a long time. I want to finish off with this. Please collect responsibly. I know that seems weird after how much I've just showed off, but remember, like, this is me saving up for months and months to go on this trip and do this, where some people would, live in luxury for a week, or some would blow thousands in Las Vegas. I wanted to go buy toys. I wanted to go visit places that had stuff that I've never seen in any toy shop I've ever had access to before. And yeah, I just kept finding stuff that was just incredible to me. So a lot came home. A lot has to find a home in my home now. But it was an absolutely incredible time. Never gonna forget it. Just like absolutely one of the best weeks of my life, and a lot of mementos. A lot of mementos from that. So thank you for watching what turned into a series of haul videos. Thank you to everyone for sticking around. I know listening to my vacation isn't the most thrilling content, but I do appreciate everyone for giving it a shot and everyone for sticking around and supporting the channel. It means the world to me that you actually want me to keep doing this. So I will see you next time for some genuine toy and Transformer content. I hope you'll be around then. Goodbye, everybody. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.